want you to relax. And I know many of you coming from across the ACP countries may not know a few things about Kenya. Maybe I will take this opportunity to just give you some info. First, Kenya is a different country. Different because each one of you, I know you've come from many parts of the world. But I want to tell you that while in Kenya, and I speak as a scientist myself, science has proven that the oldest remains of man are somewhere about 70 kilometers from Nairobi. And therefore, to all of you, from wherever you came from, I want to tell you, welcome home. This is where we all began before you went to the places that you now call home. But this is home. It is the cradle of humankind. And while you're here, feel at home. I want to warn you that at the end of this conference, you might have a problem trying to go back home. The explanation I have given you, that you will find this place more home than where you came from. Let me also teach you a bit of language so that you can maneuver your way around Nairobi. The greetings around here is Jambo. Can everybody say Jambo? Good. And when somebody tells you Jambo, you reply Jambo. Jambo. Good. You're good students. The next best thing you might encounter is another greeting which says, how are you? Habari yako. They are just two sentences, two words. Habari yako. Then you reply, mzuri sana. Habari yako. Good. Now you know your way around Nairobi. You will not run into. But it is a privilege for me to join you today at this point and at this important event. The 110th session of the Africa, Caribbean and Pacific Council of Ministers exponentially builds on the previous efforts and promises to yield outcomes of tremendous significance for our countries and our people. It is therefore very appropriate that such historic undertaking with ambitious outcomes take place in Nairobi, Kenya. You will agree with me that Nairobi provides the ideal setting for this inspired deliberation. By now, many of you, if not all of you, will have experienced the legendary hospitality of our people besides other attractions. Kenya is a beautiful country and Nairobi is a city of innumerable delights. I am confident that the organizing committee, which has done such a fine job in putting together this event, has likewise been mindful to give you hints of magical Kenya. The collaboration with the ACP Committee of Ambassadors and the ACP Secretariat has facilitated the seamless management of necessary logistics for the 9th ACP Summit, which will also take place here. Karibu to all delegates. On behalf of the government of Kenya, we are honored to have you as our esteemed visitors. As I indicated earlier, the outcome of your deliberations is awaited with great expectation. Building on our rich history and achievements of the past 44 years, time has come for even more impactful articulation of our leaders' vision. Consonant with the guidance of the heads of state and government, we look forward to greater solidarity in confronting individual and common regional challenges, and in surmounting those we all share as a family. Honorable Ministers, distinguished participants, I'm highly encouraged to see the commitment captured clearly in the agenda and the sub-themes. The next couple of days, therefore, will showcase our cooperation in action. Your discussions will be centered on critical pillars of our people's welfare and shared interests. Good governance, peace and security, including terrorism, violent extremism and radicalization, climate change, and the small islands developing states are subjects of vital importance. Similarly, a more dynamic intra-ACP cooperation is at the heart of our collective interests as we pursue social and economic development. Your diligent work on these themes will greatly support our leaders in setting the vision and direction in terms of the summit theme, that is, a transformed ACP committed to multilateralism. Honorable Ministers, distinguished participants, committed multilateralism is the most strategic path to overcoming challenges to sustainable development. In order to accelerate the pace of this progress, this commitment must entail transformative collaboration. As to be truly transformative, a good starting point must be the inclusion, participation, and consideration of youth and women in global affairs, as well as partnership with the private sector. As the Cotonou Partnership Agreement runs towards its completion, it is clear that the ACP-EU is ripe for the next level of engagement. I therefore urge the Council and every other institution taking part in the negotiations to place the interest of the ACP group foremost, even as we perfect fraternal coexistence as a group. As a group, we have been able to march forward and help to shape an ACP that we want. By use of our numbers, we have a big force towards fully integrating ourselves into the global system. The spirit of South-South cooperation can help relieve our original goal of growth and development through solidarity and cooperation. Honorable Ministers and distinguished participants, as you continue the deliberations in the days to come, I would like to take this opportunity to add my voice to some of the key global challenges that will require greater collaboration and cooperation from member states. The growing threat of climate change and the disruption it continues to cause must be addressed. It is a reality that although some of the ACP members in the Pacific only contribute 0.03% of the world's carbon dioxide emissions, the millions of people who live there are experiencing some of the earliest and the most severe consequences, and some might run out of fresh water long before they run out of land. People are already feeling the effects of climate change across Africa. Evidence shows that the changes in temperature has affected the health, the livelihoods, food productivity, water availability, and overall security of our people. Over the past 25 years, the number of weather-related disasters, such as floods and droughts, has doubled, resulting in the region having a higher mortality rate from droughts than any other region. In addition to this, projections estimate that climate change will lead to an equivalent of 2% to 4% annual loss in GDP in the region by 2040. I therefore urge that as a group of nations, we must continue to speak in one voice on this issue and work together towards developing sustainable solutions that will support the most vulnerable of our population. On that note, I would like to take this opportunity to commend the organizing committee of this summit for giving special attention to the plight of women and youth. Until we create an inclusive, enabling environment for these special groups in our economy, change will be incremental, not catalytic. This should include policy reforms that will see the expansion of economic resources controlled by women and youth in the broader community, such as those developed by business owners and entrepreneurs, which can lay the groundwork for the collective action and problem solving. Job creation must be at the center of these policy reforms if we hope to empower the youth who make up the majority of our country's population. For instance, it is estimated that sub-Saharan Africa alone will need 11 million new jobs a year through the year 2030. It is therefore imperative that beyond the traditional important sectors, it is essential to harness the technological innovation and entrepreneurship that the digital age has unleashed, because we continue to see many examples of how innovation are creating new and different jobs. It is a known fact that countries that are open to international trade tend to grow faster, innovate, improve productivity, and provide higher incomes and more opportunities for their people. Noting the commitment of the Lome Convention towards eliminating obstacles which impede some of the members from taking full advantage of the opportunities offered within the ACP mechanism, I urge you to continue to work towards addressing the challenges faced by member states. Our efforts must be geared towards strengthening our trade and trade ties and leverage on our connectedness while negotiating with other regions of the world. The ACP must continue to be supportive of an open, rules-based, predictable, multilateral trading system with the goal of helping its members participate and enjoy the benefits of such a system. In addition, developing the private sector through a range of strategies that aim to establish markets that function vibrantly and fairly should continue to be the mainstay of our efforts to provide economic opportunities of quality to our people and attract foreign direct investment. This we should do by focusing our resources on creating enabling conditions for growth, addressing constraints within the markets, and finally, by engaging the businesses and where appropriate, allowing business to take the lead. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, lastly, the threat of terrorism to global peace as an evolving transnational menace requires a collective strategy, priority, and response by ACP, in addition to actions taken by individual member states. Terrorism is one of the major causes of instability in the current environment. It seeks to undermine the very rules that are the cornerstone of international cooperation. Terrorism will remain a key challenge to peace and stability and to state power, particularly through its ability to use asymmetric methods to bypass traditional security and defense systems. We require a global approach in addressing its manifestations, as well as the socio-economic and political context in which it occurs. ACP member states should lead from the front in providing recommendations on how the global community can collectively counter terrorism and extremism. I invite you to speak to these same challenges as you pursue your agenda in this meeting. Allow me, in conclusion, to say two final things. I know majority of us in this meeting, at least majority of the SCP countries are from our continent in Africa. And I'm a very proud African, and Kenya is a very proud state in this continent. And I want to tell us, as first as Africans, that we have a duty and a responsibility first to ourselves, and to make sure that the opportunities that are available in this continent and the opportunities that come by us working together as people in this continent, that we have the best possible opportunity to leverage on our collaboration, on our cooperation and partnership as a continent as we deal with other parts of the world. We must be very clear in our minds that the old story of Africa, of war and conflict and poverty and hunger, is a story we must begin to redefine and to tell the real story of this continent. Good people, Africa, at least the Africa, and I am not under any illusion that we have challenges in this continent. Yes, we do. But aside from the challenges that we have as a continent, Africa has a population of 1 billion people with a GDP of close to $3.5 trillion US dollars, with the youngest population in the world, with 7 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world, a continent with the highest return on investment. Surely, you cannot tell me that continent can only be described in terms of war and poverty and hunger. I don't think so. And therefore, it is important for us, and I say so because I believe in it. And that is why Kenya took the first step when we decided as a continent that we intend to trade and do business more with other African countries, and took the step to sign the Continental Free Trade Area. Kenya was the first country to sign and ratify the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, because we believe that there is more to share in prosperity than in poverty. I want to urge the rest of the countries in our continent that are yet to sign and ratify the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to do so, because therein lies our opportunity to trade more, to do business more, and to create better opportunities for the many young people, the millions of young people in our continent. I am very clear in my mind that first and foremost, the beneficiaries of these 7 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world, first and foremost, we should take that opportunity as Africans. If we have the highest return on investment, the first people who should invest in this continent are Africans themselves. And we have that opportunity. And that is why Kenya has taken the step that to enable greater freedom of movement of goods and people and services, we have taken the decision as the government of Kenya that any African who wants to come to Kenya can get their visa at the airport in Nairobi. That you do not need to get a visa in your home country. You can come all the way and we will give you a visa at the airport, because we believe the more Africans move, the better the opportunities they will get to trade with each other. Finally, I know you will be here for a few more days. Let me give you some hints about Nairobi. Nairobi is the only city that has an a national park only 10 minutes away. So if you get half an hour or 45 minutes, you can make your way to the national park. We have wild animals, including lions and elephants. I must warn you that sometimes they break off from the national park and you might meet some lions on the street. You be careful because they are wild. So don't try and hold them. Let me also tell you that the World Travel Awards nominated Nairobi in June this year as Africa's leading business travel destination. So while you are in Nairobi, know that you are in Africa's leading business travel destination. Find some business, you surely will. While you are in Nairobi, let me also tell you that CNN reported in 2015 that Nairobi is the most intelligent city in Africa. Intelligent because we have more or less the best broadband in this continent. So our connectivity will help you do what you want to do. And finally, let me also tell you, JLL, City Momentum Index, which is also quoted by World Economic Forum, rated Nairobi the most dynamic city in Africa and the 20th in the world. So again, you are in a very dynamic city. So find your way around Nairobi. I know it is important to be in this conference, but there is more in Nairobi than the conference you have come to attend. So make use of your stay in Nairobi. With these remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you very fruitful deliberations, and it's now my duty to pronounce the 110th session of the ACV Council of Ministers officially opened. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Tiring. Keep 2 balls quite close.
The endurance of the long-distance runners of East Africa, the speed of the Caribbean sprinters, and the strength of the Fijian and Samoan rugby players epitomize the coming together of 79 countries under the African, Caribbean, and Pacific Group of States. The synergy has so far seen more than $3.7 billion committed in funding, more than 40 intra-ACP projects cutting across health, energy, small and medium enterprises, and security. Promotion of multilateralism will now see member states give each other first priority in trade and other related concessions, promoting rapid local industry growth and job opportunities. With this unity, the bloc will have more bargaining power with external partners and governments. Endowed with natural resources across all member states, the ACP prudent leadership, combined with improved political goodwill, has resulted in conservation and sustainable use of available resources. With its biggest asset being the citizens of the member states, health and the welfare of the people has been given top priority. Resources have been channeled to the war against disease, with emphasis on maternal health and promotion of research. Homegrown solutions are being implemented for issues like cross-border migration, especially to the European countries, smuggling and poaching. The obligation of ensuring that every member state enjoys the benefits of working together under ACP remains sacred because together we can unlock infinite possibilities.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, for your opening remarks. It has set the tone for what should be a very invigorating and productive council session. With that, we've now come to the end of the formal opening session of the 110th council meeting here in Nairobi. I would now want to request you all to remain in the hall as the high table escorts His Excellency Deputy President out of the hall. Thank you. Can Miss Catherine Kidinji approach the podium if you're around? Now, as you wait for the session to resume immediately after the Deputy President departs, just want to share with you, for those who might not know, we have running teas outside the hall and downstairs. There are two halls also. For those of you who would wish to have some coffee, tea, or refreshments, you are free to do so. Thank you.
The endurance of the long-distance runners of East Africa, the speed of the Caribbean sprinters, and the strength of the Fijian and Samoan rugby players epitomize the coming together of 79 countries under the African, Caribbean, and Pacific Group of States. The synergy has so far seen more than $3.7 billion committed in funding, more than 40 intra-ACP projects cutting across health, energy, small and medium enterprises, and security. Promotion of multilateralism will now see member states give each other first priority in trade and other related concessions, promoting rapid local industry growth and job opportunities. With this unity, the bloc will have more bargaining power with external partners and governments. Endowed with natural resources across all member states, the ACP prudent leadership, combined with improved political goodwill, has resulted in conservation and sustainable use of available resources. With its biggest asset being the citizens of the member states, health and the welfare of the people has been given top priority. Resources have been channeled to the war against disease, with emphasis on maternal health, and promotion of research. Homegrown solutions are being implemented for issues like cross border migration, especially to the European countries, smuggling, and poaching. The obligation of ensuring that every member state enjoys the benefits of working together under ACP remains sacred because together we can unlock infinite possibilities.
Excellencies, Excellencies. Oh. No, we keep it from Excellencies, ministers,
heads of delegations, we would like to begin the formal part of our agenda. We are concerned about the time, and we need to be as judicious and as concise as possible. Chairman is ready. If you please take seats, we would like to continue with this session of the council. Thank you very much.
Honorable Ministers, Your Excellencies, Mr. Secretary General, distinguished delegates, after the formal opening ceremony, I propose that we move on to today's order of business and a comprehensive agenda that is before us. But first and foremost, allow me to reiterate my availability and my delegation's commitment to the objectives of the group. The Papua New Guinea government is proud and grateful for the role the ACP Council of Ministers have accorded to our government. All of us ACP member countries share some deep and abiding concerns. Among these is clear support for a global regime of development cooperation that is based on fair and equitable outcomes. Together with my Pacific Island partners, we also have a particular concern regarding the worsening outcomes resulting from the climate change. We call on all countries, particularly our developed country partners, to redouble their efforts to immediately counter the factors that contribute to the global warming. It is my expectation that our deliberations today will be fruitful and that we shall be able to move with some dispatch. Given that our agenda is crowded and time is of essence, I would like to make a plea for interventions to be as short and concise as possible. Let us move to item number 1, adoption of the agenda. Reference ACP/25/009/19 Rev 3. Oh. No, it's Rev 4. This draft agenda before you has been examined by the Bureau, which met yesterday and is recommended for your adoption. If anyone wishes to raise an issue under any other business, could you please notify the council? No? The agenda is adopted as is. Item number 2, statement from the President. I have a statement. I have one item to communicate to you. The 38th session of the ACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly in Kigali. The 38th session of the ACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly was held in Kigali, Rwanda from the 17th to the 21st November 2019. As provided for in Article 15 of the Cotonou Partnership Agreement, Council shall be invited to present to the Assembly its annual report on the implementation of the Partnership Agreement. In this regard, His Excellency Mr. Oliver Nururegehe, Minister for State for Foreign Affairs, Regional Cooperation and East Africa Community Affairs of the Republic of Rwanda addressed the Assembly on my behalf. His address focused on the ongoing ACP-EU negotiations for a successor agreement, where he highlighted the state of play of the negotiations and the areas that are yet to be finalized. He also reported on the outcome of the 6th meeting of the ACP ministers in charge of fisheries and the 5th meeting of the ACP ministers of culture. In addition, the minister highlighted the work of the group in the global arena, such as its participation in the Our Oceans Conference and collaboration between the ACP and EU at international fora. Council is also required to provide responses to questions by members of parliament. The minister gave the ACP perspective on the questions posted on a wide range of issues. These include issues such as pesticide used in the developing countries, strengthening cohesion of the ACP group, fundamental freedoms and humanitarian crisis in Cameroon, the ACP-EU partnership, the EU partnership with Africa, natural disasters and biodiversity loss, aid for the Bahamas after Hurricane Dorian, and the ACP-EU fisheries agreement. Before concluding the statement from the chair, permit me to sincerely thank the Honorable Minister for Rwanda for stepping in for the President of the Council and ably and eloquently representing the ACP Council at the joint parliamentary session in Kigali. This brings me to the end of my statement. Do you have any observations? Let us move to item number 3, appointment of rapporteur and friends of the rapporteur. In accordance with the rules guiding the choice of a rapporteur when the ACP Council session is held outside headquarters, the rapporteur for this session is the host country, Kenya, East Africa. The 5 other regions are expected to nominate 1 friend each. I'm informed that the Southern Africa region has designated Mozambique. Would the coordinators for the other regions please notify the Secretariat of the nominees before the end of this session?
Okay. Maybe we'll give you the latest. That's not the latest. Yes,
Yeah.
What page is that?
Page 8. Beg your pardon, there's a slight amendment, so let me repeat item number 3, appointment of the rapporteur and the friends of the rapporteur. In accordance with the rules guiding the choice of a rapporteur, when the ACP Council session is held outside headquarters, the rapporteur of this session is the host country, Kenya, East Africa. The 5 other regions are expected to nominate 1 friend each. I'm informed that the Southern African region has designated Mozambique and the Caribbean has designated the Bahamas. Would the coordinators for the other regions please notify the Secretariat of the nominees before the end of this session? Okay. Item number 4, appointment of members of the incoming Ministerial Bureau, reference ACP/549/79/review 75. As you probably know, the incoming presidency of the Council will be held next by West Africa. I have been informed that this region has designated the Gambia to hold the office of President of Council as from the 1st of February 2020. I am therefore inviting the regional coordinators to communicate to the Secretariat as soon as possible the names of the region's representative on the new bureau whose term of office runs from the 1st of February to the 31st of July 2020. The Southern African region has designated the Republic of Zambia as the regional coordinator for that period. Okay. I would like to congratulate the incoming President of the Council and assure him of my full support and cooperation as a member of the Troika during his presidency. Item number 5, approval of the rapporteur's report of the 109th session of the Council held at ACP House, Brussels on the 21st and 22nd of May 2019 and its reference